What's up, guys? This is the first episode or first podcast for Digging In with Tyler with our special guest, Alex Sloan from Your Last Chance.
Hey, friends.
He plays in a band, Your Last Chance, from Omaha, but you're from Glenwood.
Kind of, sort of. I moved back to Omaha, though. Like, a year ago. Bought a house there, and we'll never go back to Iowa.
Never?
I don't think I could. No. I like Omaha way better, to be honest.
I'm already offended.
But, sorry.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, maybe we should talk about the first time I knew of you. Like, the first time I ever knew of your presence. You ready for this? Barn show.
Oh, in Glenwood.
Yeah.
Okay. Was this with For the Empire, or was this YLC?
For the Empire.
Ooh. So, high school, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a few of them. Do you know which one it was?
I can tell you definitely. So this is how my day went. I was at Thunderbolt, and I already knew Jeff, right? So
okay.
Jeff was with What Dwells Within, with Nathan Schwery, Sean Sorensen, all those guys.
Yeah.
John Wren. And he texts me and he goes, "Hey, do you want to go to the show?" I'd never been to a hardcore or a metal show, right? So I was like, yeah.
So going to a barn show was the...
Yeah. So I go ahead and pick me up. So the whole band comes in with their big old van. They pick me up.
Roadie style?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And we take off and we go to the barn show. I'm like, why are we going to Glenwood for a show? So I guess that's how it happened. That was my first show.
Oh my god.
And I went there to obviously watch Jeff, and then I remember you guys were probably the headliner.
Could have been. There was a few times where, like, I remember, like, the band Conflicts played.
Oh, yeah.
A couple different times there.
Casey?
Yeah, those are my boys. God, I wish they would come back. But then Buster Casey from Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Gracie from Des Moines, Main State's drummer. Buster Casey always came down. There's a couple bands from Minnesota that I can't remember for the life of me. But that was like the place to go, because, like, we couldn't afford to rent a venue,
right? And
it was kind of like there was no rules there, but it was, like, people respected it still, like,
sure.
Like, I mean, I'm sure there was underage drinking and all that other crap going on, but like, it was in a controlled environment. Like, people weren't out getting going out getting in trouble. There was never any drama at those shows, and me being 14 or 15 at the time. Was it that long ago? It could have been.
Yeah, because, I mean, what are you now, 24?
25.
So you're a year younger than me, and I probably, I worked at Thunderbolt when I was 16, so yeah, you would have been 15.
God. Yeah, and so I'm in a band with all these kids that are, like, college aged and all that. Yeah, so that's...
Yeah, so the barn show, well, I don't know why they call it the barn show. It's that airplane hangar.
Oh, okay. So
whose is it?
So this, Jake Schoening,
okay,
vocalist of Live and Obey, was our vocalist, and his dad, Jeff, that was his place. There's a house, like, it's one of those, like, like a machine. I call it a machine shed, but barn show is just easier to say, because on the other side, like, it was an actual house. He had a hot tub in the living room. Like, this dude was living, like,
it seems like Sims
bachelor style lifestyle. Like, you walk in, there's a kitchen on the left, and on the right there's a big living room, but right in the middle is this damn hot tub, and he's just sitting in there. It's fine, man. Like, all right, cool. But it was just such a huge area that they built that stage in the corner out of, like, old pallets and stuff. Like, man, it was rickety. Like, should not have had metal bands on there, or anybody for that matter.
Unless you got vegan folk bands, maybe.
Yeah, we had acoustic acts play all the time. Like, because I guess, well, back then, variety shows were
a big thing.
A little bit more common than they are now. I mean, not like they're just dead, but, like, it was a lot more common back then. We would have these acoustic acts or these two-piece acts come in, and they would use that, and a lot of people would do the drummer up on the stage and everyone else on the floor.
Right.
But remember, this stage was like 5 foot tall, so these drums are, like, going over everyone's heads, and it was just, the sound quality in that place sucked. But it was so much fun because, like, people showed up to those parties, and, like, it's weird now thinking, like, some people won't drive 10 minutes to the show that's in their town, but they'll drive 45 minutes to the middle of nowhere, Iowa, and go to a hardcore show because they know, like, it's going to be fun. And, like, we always tried to make the show as appealing to everyone as possible. Like, hence why we got Conflicts on there, Buster Casey, and so on and so forth. For the Empire, we just kind of, you know, weaseled our way in there because
like, we're kind of from here.
this is our venue. But then even Your Last Chance, because after For the Empire ended, you know, we all went our different ways. Jake was in, well, he wasn't in Live and Obey, or he still is Live and Obey, but he was in a couple other projects at that time. And by then, me and Ben, our bass player at the time, we went on to YLC. We did play a couple shows there, and they were still, even like, they were still crazy. Like, we had like a Hawaiian luau themed show one night.
Dope.
So we had all these blow up beach balls, these palm trees. Everyone wore, you know, like the
Luau's or
the shirts. Well, yeah, the lays.
There you go.
We wore lays
Luau's.
and palm skirts, and I don't know. It just, by the end of the night, people are taking these inflatable trees and just flailing them everywhere. Like, it's a hardcore show in Hawaii kind of thing. And yeah, that I wish those kinds of shows would come back. Like, house shows in general are still pretty sweet, but there's a lot of liability to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally wouldn't want a bunch of metalheads in my house. I don't have room in my house for that kind of stuff. But, you know, you're rolling the dice with a bunch of people who could very potentially ruin it for everyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's funny you bring that up. One of the, I guess, one house show that comes to mind is The Chariot. So there's a video of The Chariot. They're playing in this, like, little venue, and right next to them's, like, a little coffee shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going coffee shop, a door, a venue.
And with the Chariot in it.
With the Chariot in it, right? So you've got hundreds and hundreds of people, and one of them decides to get a little crazy, and they bust through the door into this little coffee shop.
Yeah.
And the coffee shop owner says, "Get out." So they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to have to end our show." And some guy out of the crowd goes, "We can have it at my place." Gave everybody his address.
And they just all...
The Chariot, and then they hosted the Chariot.
Oh
So the
my
Chariot's
God.
playing in the living room. They're playing the guitar in the living room. And then all of a sudden you see the vocalist. He walks out onto the patio, gets a lift onto the roof.
I think I remember this. Because, like, yeah, it all spills out into the outside, and he's jumping off the roof.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Wild.
I didn't remember that there was, like, a story to that. I just thought there was just...
Ugh.
Because, like, house shows, like, there's, like, the band Enter Shikari. Like,
The best.
They have a video of them literally just playing in a house. Like, that was
okay.
the
Time
thing.
for Plan B, or is it what's the other big one they got?
Oh, boy.
Shit, my first tattoo idea was gonna be Enter Shikari. God, that's gonna drive me nuts. Okay, time.
We'll
for
remember
Yeah.
after this. It'll be middle of something else. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, like, Time for Plan B was a big song, or one of their bangers. And, yeah, like, they played house shows. Beartooth, before they got, like, super mainstream, they did a house show tour.
Dope.
And for, like, 2 weeks, I think.
I remember when their first video came out, and it was for what was their very first, like, single? Man, we're bad.
We're really bad at this kind of stuff. There's a lot of songs out there.
Don't.
Oh, I Have a Problem.
Yeah, I have a problem. So they signed with Red Bull Records, and then they the first video they released was in black and white, and the venue they were playing at, I don't know what it was. I don't know if they were just told to go nuts, but there was
Most
people.
likely.
There was people in that video, like, hanging off of fans.
Oh, yeah.
Ripping fans off.
Naturally. Like, why wouldn't you?
So
like,
imagine you see that video for the first time. You're like, yeah, let's host him in my house.
Like, let's put him in my parents' living room. Nothing could go wrong.
Nah.
I remember on that, not like I was on that tour or anything. I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing a video, and they were in, I want to say Springfield, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the opening bands, they were just trying to, like, one up them. So their guitar player lit himself on fire. Like, he got some of that just straight jet fuel, just poured a little bit on him and lit himself, and he's just rocking out. Some guy in the back's got a towel and just, like, trying to, like, get it all off of him. And I mean, if that's what you like, I don't know, man. Some people, like, running around in my house on fire. It does not sound.
Can you imagine telling that story to your parents? What happened this weekend?
Nothing happened. Well, we saw the video.
Yeah.
Tyler's on fire, and our curtains are on the ground. What's up? It was the cat.
Yeah.
I swear.
Trying to make an excuse for that.
Screw that. My mom would never have that. My mom always, like, we always rehearsed at my house just because she knew, like, we weren't out getting in trouble.
Right.
And that was the extent of it. She would never have, you know, because at one time, the house that she used to live in Glenwood, the basement was unfinished, and I humored the idea of maybe having a house show down there, but she stepped on that so quick. She's like, no, she's like, you can practice here all you want, but you start putting, because I've been to your shows, I know what goes on. That is not happening. And we're like, okay, well.
So how do you guys, as a band, come up with the decision as to which house to play at?
Space. So like I said, for the longest time, my house was the jam pad.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem being, especially now, is because like at one point I was the only one left in Glenwood. Everyone else is now Omaha based.
Right.
And driving, some of them live in northwest Omaha, like
so 45 minutes.
That is
an
a
hour.
long drive just to get down there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't making sense, and so we decided, because Andy also is very capable of having rehearsal there. He's got the space, and he almost prefers it just because he's kind of a hermit, and I'll say it. He's a hermit, dude. He does not leave his house, so the less he has to leave, the better. And all of his stuff's there, and so we're like, all right, we'll just bring it to your house. He's in Omaha, and I guess that would make sense, because if we had to go to Glenwood anymore, that would have sucked. And,
sure.
It's nice. It's nice. It gives me a little bit more room at my house.
Yeah.
Like, not like, because like I don't live at my parents anymore, thank God. But like if it were to be at my house, we wouldn't have the room for it. Like we don't have that.
Do you just keep the drums at his place?
Yeah, I have a set at his house, and then I have, my wife hates it, I got 3 still at mine.
Big time.
Yeah, just well, I can't get rid of them. Like I tried selling one off, and people were just like lowballing me the whole way. They were telling me they knew more about my drums than me. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but like they're like custom drums made to my specifications.
Tell me what those ones were.
The Charm City,
the
blue ones. Yeah.
Yep.
Now I think it's a lifelong commitment to keep those things now.
Yeah.
I'm because like I had one guy biting at him a little bit, and I was like, man, I should just bite the bullet and take the cash. And then I was like, no, you know what? No, I'll keep them. I like this kit too much, and the moment I see him go, I'm gonna kick myself for getting rid of him.
I was just watching a video about this, about a guy. I'm trying to think of what it was. Let's just say, for example, it was some guy scoring his 100th hockey goal.
Yeah.
And then he'd sign it and then sell it up for auction. Well, the person who bought it for auction then gave it back to the guy. Like, that would be a sweet present.
That would be pretty nice, because like something like that, yeah, even like drums, or like an important puck for say, like that's one of those like money can't buy that kind of thing. Because like my blue kit, my Charm City kit, that was my first custom kit. Like that was like my pride for like 4 years. I didn't like anyone walking within 10 feet of it. Like, I was like, that is my baby. Do not touch my baby.
This is Step Brothers all over again.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You know how many people try to teabag my drums? To this fucking day. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Step Brothers, good example. If not.
Yeah. But I love that movie.
So, Charm City, so they're custom, right? You can...
Yeah. So, like, Charm City actually doesn't really... isn't in business anymore. Yeah. It was 2 guys... based out of Baltimore, the Charm City.
Yeah.
And I actually got a hold of them because of the drummer from I the Breather.
Oh, yes.
Morgan Wright.
Okay, before it was Aaron Oveka.
Yeah, it was before Aaron. And Morgan, he played Battlefield drums. So this is, I'm trying to think who else would have played Battlefield. Matt Trainer of Bless the Fall, back in their height. He played Battlefield, but like everyone else, I mean, that was like just another custom company. And I contacted Morgan saying like, hey, who do I talk to Battlefield? And he's like, don't do that. Hit these guys up. They're from, because Morgan's from Baltimore. He's
awesome.
Like, these guys are making better quality drums in his opinion, and in all of our opinions. And you're not going to be paying for the name. You're going to be paying for the quality.
Right.
And I'm like, shit, okay.
Hook
So
I
I already had the idea. Like, I already knew what I wanted dimension wise, like odds and ends and colors, finishes, and all that. And there's Jeff and Wally, best two fucking names you can have.
Jeff and Wally.
Jeff and Wally. And I was talking to them. I was like, this is what I want in the kit. And they were so stoked on it. It wasn't one of those, oh, like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, but what if they were like, we got you. Like we'll get you that kit. And I think it took 2 months, which is like ridiculously fast. Like can't get that anywhere else. Like if you get like an SJC kit or something, like you're waiting 4 to 6 months at least,
for sure,
just production wise.
Or shit, even just a custom snare.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And that was like one thing. Is like I really didn't want to like go like big company because like I don't have that kind of cash. I don't anymore. That you're paying for their name, and I was like I don't really care what the name is as long as it's a good kit. And that's where Charm City came in. And so I got my kit and I unboxed it and I was so stoked on it and messaged them right away. I'm like, I'll definitely be coming back to you guys like here in the new future, like whether it's another kit or a snare. And I think it was like a month after I got my kit, it was they said that they're closing shop. They're liquidating their stuff, and I'm just like, that sucks, man, because I just got this kit and I was like super stoked on like, kind of, throwing their name out there, right. But there was a lot of stuff, the behind the scenes stuff not between the two, but just like they had day jobs. Right. This was not their full-time job. Like
their side project.
This was their side gig. They did all of this out of a basement, and so I that was why I kind of respected that kind of hustle, because these guys still made me a kit that I would put up against some of these new DWs, Pearls, and Tamas. Like I personally believe it's just that good of a kit.
Right.
And yeah, I that's why I kind of don't want to get rid of it, because I think it's just, to me, it's definitely a special piece, and just like any other musician, you don't want to get rid of your stuff. The more you have, the better, right? Like my dad, he's got like, I shit you not, 30 something guitars. Not exaggerating.
Damn.
And he is constantly trading, selling, and buying new ones, just because one has this on it, one has this on it, and like in the bedrooms of our house, or of his house, like where we would stay, those closets are just full of guitar cases, and then downstairs in the basement, just another shelf of just guitars.
It's gonna take a while to tune them all.
Well, yeah.
30 of them.
But I swear some of them have not been opened in decades.
Right.
But he's got some real like gems sitting down there that I don't know what to do with.
Yeah, the thing with old people is they can just tell you. They'll be like, yeah, second door to the left, go down the stairs, turn right, and look down, and you can see my 1983 Gibson.
Yeah. Well, anymore though, like he's got like he'll label them all, and I've had guitars, like he's handed me the guitars that I should not even be holding, right? Because like they're worth more than like my house, damn near. Maybe not. That's a little aggressive. $295,000 for this fake Fender Strat, right? Like, no, he's got some real collector's items in there, and I think I'm sure he knows that, but if he just started selling them off for cheap, that would be the biggest mistake of his life. I mean, if he sold them all right now, he could retire, move to Cancun, and
be good. So I guess that begs the question: how come you play drums?
Right. Okay. So story time. So this actually is kind of like how I got started into this. So my dad, obviously a guitar player, he grew up playing music. He did the same thing, but he played more like blues, rockabilly. Rockabilly, it's just
new genre.
But when I was born, he was in this band that rehearsed at my parents' house. So you could say I was literally brought home to this basement full of equipment, and I'm talking drums, guitars, keyboards, pianos, you name it. It was probably in our basement at one point. And little side note, the drummer of that band, his name is Mike, is my godfather. So just because I'll get to that point, but I was always just attracted to the drums. I don't know what it was. It was just big and loud. It was cool. Right. And I don't know what it was about that. So like there's pictures of me sitting on my parents' laps just
Drum
beating the
suits.
crap out of stuff, and so it got to the point where it was time for Alex to get a kit, like something smaller. And so my first kit for me was this Mapex kit, and it was just piano black. I mean, this was just like...
Did you get it from Sam's Club?
No, I did not.
Oh.
I got it from oh my god, what is there used to be a music store by Canfield's.
See, I'm not from Omaha.
Yeah,
so.
see, this was I mean, I was 5 or 6 years old
Gotcha.
when this place, and this was before Guitar Center, and,
Right.
and Dietz really was a big thing. Like this was the Guitar Center of Omaha pretty much. And we went in there, and they, my dad's really good at bartering with people. He's just got that bone in him.
I'll give you one of my 30 guitars for a drum.
Well, not even that. He's like, I see that drum kit's $800. I got 500 for you. Take it or leave it.
Right.
Well, no, it's 800. He's like, well, that's fine. I guess we'll go across town to your competitors.
So I wonder how many cars he has.
Oh my god, dude. That's probably how he gets his guitars, dude. That's
Yeah.
just a bunch of bartering. But yeah. So we got this black, just your standard setup 5-piece. It had like an 8-inch, a 10-inch, 8, 10, and a 14-inch tom. Just generic.
Right.
Came with like a set of hats and like a crash ride. The Zildjian ZBTs, like the true OG starter cymbals.
Mm-hmm.
And I started banging away on that for like 3 or 4 years. And I was kind of like, I started getting really observant of like what like my godfather Mike had, and other drummers, because I was watching videos. I was watching the music videos that my parents were playing.
And how old were you at this time, you think?
Oh, maybe 8.
8, yeah.
Like I like by this time, I'm listening to Linkin Park and Avenged Sevenfold, and
Who didn't listen to those?
well, yeah, but like my mom, bless her heart, she's like, he's only listening for the drums, right? Like, because it's just a bunch of screaming, right? It's a bunch of that.
I got a good story about this.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, and my dad was, he let me play, like him and I would jam together, father son time and stuff like that, and so by then it was like, okay, now it's time to get another kit. Like now I know that like I'm set on drums, so we get this Ludwig kit. Literally the same thing as what the Mapex kit was, but it was new to me, so I'm
Right.
like, hell yeah, I got new kit. But I started like growing my cymbals, and then I started tinkering with configurations. I started learning the 2-tom setup.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stuff like that. I was just kind of like imitating other drummers that I was watching, and then it was like, okay, now it's time for the drums to grow, right? Like now at one point I had 2 kick drums, I had 4 rack toms, 3 floor toms, and then just my cymbals. The more the better, right?
So you go from Beartooth's original drummer to Terry Bozzio.
Dude, yeah, like I wanted. Well, so my idol growing up was Jimmy Sullivan, the
Mm-hmm.
Rev.
Same.
Dude, and everyone shits on the guy.
Love him.
Like, but he was a thrash drummer. Like he was, like I idolized. To this day, that guy he did stuff that drummers don't do. And so like I did everything I could to be like him. I wanted 2 rides.
Yep.
I wanted 2 sets of hats. I wanted 4 splashes right at my eye level, and then China's up here. Just I wanted to be.
And he had him sitting like sideways.
Dude, he had him like, because they were so high up, he
Right.
had to have him vertical. And I was like, that's so sweet. He just looks so freaking cool doing
Yeah.
this. He's just like, I was like, that's my guy. But then it was like, okay, now my music style's changing. And then by this time I'm like probably 14, 15 years old. So now I'm getting into FTE, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just all about breakdowns and blast beats. Okay, I don't need this stupid size setup.
Simplify it.
I was just like, all right, let's start selling this. Let's sell that. I need to get rid of this. And then now I'm back down to the 2-piece. Like every other drummer has this setup kind of thing. But like, I think every drummer goes through I need more.
No doubt. So for example, I mean, I've been along with Jeff for about, like 11 years now. And ever since I've known him, he's been playing drums. And I've seen him in a couple of different bands.
Yeah.
And I guess you can see what influences him as far as what drummers he listens to, because like Luke Holland is big influence.
Oh.
So you'll see a little bullet stack, you get a little stack, and then like you said, you watch the Rev and you get a couple of splashes. Yeah, it just depends on who you listen to, and I guess what direction you're trying to go.
Yeah.
There's some people who, like I said, Beartooth's original drummer, snare, tom, and he just kept it simple.
He had like at one point I think he only had a floor tom, and then he had like a crash in hats. Like I don't even think he had
And he wrecks.
a rack. Yeah, but because like if you ever, because like when I was looking into him, like seeing like his history, he's a true thrash drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Like his history just goes back to like playing in bars with like some like the CB brand kits. Like they never had a front kick head because it either got beaten out or there's a center block holding it down. Like that was like his style. He's like less is more, and he's like if I could just beat the crap out of my stuff and not feel bad about it, that's
Whatever.
it. And yeah, but like yeah, like I tried, for a while I tried imitating other drummers, and I kind of learned to like hold back on it a little bit because imitation is a sincere form of flattering, right? There's a reason those drummers are at the levels they are because they're doing that. No one else did that, right? Luke Holland is a great example. Like, I think the guy's insane. No one can, people can compare, but he's his own brand.
Yeah.
I would never be able to touch that. Like, no way, no how. Could not lie my way around that one. But just as much as wanting to do what he can do, that makes me or other drummers I could name want to do their own version.
Sure.
Know what I mean? Yeah.
Come
up with their own style. Just be unique, because that's the best way. That's what all bands do. That's what bands should do. Who else? Like Jimmy Sullivan. Like, if I like at one point I tried convincing my parents. I'm like, I need his drum kit. I need that DW kit. And they're like, yeah, no, that costs more than the car that your parents drive. Like, that's not going to happen. I'm like, okay, well then I'll do the next best thing and just do what I can to be him. And then eventually I learned, I'm like, I don't need to do that. I'm now at a point where I can teach myself different things that may not exist or just aren't common in the drumming industry. And that's where that's kind of where like I am now is like I want to just do something that I can be recognized for in a sense, not to be famous or anything.
Right.
Like I'm not, and I don't care to be, but just like they'll be like, oh, Alex Sloan, the guy that can do this, the guy that does this, and
you do that little.
Oh, that's
grab a drumstick.
Oh my god, this is my way to get out of arthritis.
Really,
dude, my hand cramps so bad that my thumb starts pulling away, and when you're rocking out on stage, well, there goes your stick. So I taught myself to play like this when my hand starts cramping.
Oh wow!
And so as I'm hitting, okay, well that doesn't feel good on my fingers, so I'm just kind of
I never would have guessed
acting like an idiot. Yeah, a lot of people just think I'm being a showboat. I'm like, no, well, yes and no. It's actually because my hand is in like a severe amount of pain, and I'm trying not to scream because I'm glad you pointed that out. Maybe somebody will hear this and be like, oh,
let me try that out.
Now Alex isn't just being a douche on stage. He's actually like severely like not feeling too hot. So yeah, like our song Severance.
Oh, that's my favorite song.
Fast, drivey, thrashy. It in a live aspect, you'll see me always doing that. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not spinning, you'll see me doing this. Like photographers catch me doing this all the time.
I was gonna say, I need to see a shot of this.
They have it, and like I'm playing like this, and like I'll post a picture of it, and they'll be like, "Is that really how you hold your sticks?" I'm like, "Well, no." Now I think about it, it does kind of look really stupid, but like this is the only way I can play that song live without my hand going absolutely just like berserk. And so yeah, like, but yeah, every now and again I'll get a little cocky and start doing that stuff.
So I think I'm trying to think of the first time I ever seen people do stick tricks. Adam Gray.
Naturally.
Adam Gray's a boss. So
absolutely.
One of the first videos I've seen of Adam Gray, well, obviously, this all, I guess, kind of dates back when Sebastian and I used to live with each other. We would find, like, certain YouTubers. So, for example, I found Dennis Shaforostov, which became the vocalist of Asking Alexandria, and then he found somebody, and we'd compete to, like...
Just see who's better?
Yeah, to one-up each other. So he would find a band. So, for example, a band I was listening to last night, At the Skylines.
Mm-hmm.
For his At the Skylines, I found Texas in July. And he would find a band, and I would find a band, right?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, Texas in July is a better drummer. And he'd be like, well, the screamer for At the Skylines is better. And Richard,
you try and do like a fantasy
Yeah.
draft of like your super group,
yeah,
and stuff like that.
and he's like, well, Richard has a mullet, and I'm like,
you can't beat a mullet, dude.
yeah, mullets are back in.
Mullets are back, dude. Like I couldn't do it. I tried doing it, and then I thought, I already have a hard time. I'm not wearing my ring, but I'm luckily married, so like I don't have to worry about it. But
Right.
the mullet thing, I tried doing it, and man,
Nah.
wouldn't recommend it. I was already ugly, so I just made it a little bit worse.
Yeah, that was back in the day. So when I guess the way I got into heavier stuff, it was kind of like you. So I used to listen to like Linkin Park, Avenged Sevenfold, and the parts that really intrigued me were the drums. So when I'd hear the rev, let's just say the Beast and the Harlot.
Obviously.
Like
His kicks.
He's just holding that forever, and then in the breakdown, we're like, right?
Yeah.
And then I kept like developing, and I'm like, well, what can I get to that's heavier and heavier and heavier? So then I would get into like Here Comes the Kraken.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they have heavy stuff, and then I get into other bands like Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
The song Incinerate is another crazy one. So I was listening to that when I was like 15, 16, 17, and it just kept developing. I'm just trying to find stuff that's like blast beats and fast ass kicks.
Just as quick and thrashy as you can be.
Yeah.
That's kind of like me. Like when the first bands, obviously it was Linkin Park, Avenged Sevenfold, shit, even Slipknot, and then it came down to all like what I call the X Games songs. You got Breaking Benjamin,
Yeah.
Trapped, like just anything that if you were riding a dirt bike, that song was going on in your head. But like my mom and my dad, they both had, just back when they had the book of CDs, I would just start going through them. Like, so I was playing Matchbox 20, and then I was playing Guns N' Roses. And then I don't know where I came along with the Baja Men, but the Baja Men were in there. And I'm like, I like it. It's fun music. That's fun to drum to.
Yeah.
And so like I tried, like my dad, obviously being a blues player, where did rock come from? That's literally where it started. And so it just kind of carried on, as well as like Eric Clapton. Dude,
Yeah.
I love Clapton, and like I've seen him live a couple different times, and as much as I loved watching him, I was looking in the back. I was looking at Mr. Ginger Baker, and I was just like, dude, like that guy's like in his 80s, and he's just still he's got this huge fro, and he's just jamming out, and I'm just like, I want that. Like I just like he looks like he's just having fun. He's just like riding that bell the whole time, just like.
Sometimes it's not about flashiness and what is like being played so hard. It's how good you're playing
It's about being a solid drummer.
Yeah.
Dude, yes, because like what we were saying earlier about blast beats. Like blast beats, tight, love them. I couldn't do them. Like okay, especially in YLC. Like we're not a blast beat band.
Yeah.
Like that's not us. Like I could hold it for a little bit, but like that's not us. But to a lot of, and this goes to any musician, like if you're just trying to shred in the most brutal, obnoxious way, and you're missing key notes, key hits, everything, tone back. I have a lot more respect for a musician that can play in the pocket, play a groove, or whatever, and play through the whole thing right.
Certainly.
Before they start. Like obviously, like in a practice environment, yeah, dude, like do what you can to get better. Like I totally agree with that. But like in a live aspect, like if you cannot play it live, do not play it.
Right.
Like, whoa, we can do it on the album. It's like, no, the computer can do it on the album.
You ready for me to call out a band that used to do this stuff?
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm ready for it.
Ready? Abandon All Ships. You remember that band? God, everything was so backtracked, and you'd see them just like missing everything, and it just made no sense.
God, they were in Omaha. Back in their
like 2012.
I think it was like only like their one time through Omaha, but yeah, there's a ton of bands out there actually. Like I won't name drop any, but I've seen some bands that like I've looked up to, and you go like,
that's what you're doing.
I'm like, that's not like, come on, like I don't know. But then there's bands out there like, let's say Currents. Okay, wonderful. Those dudes shred. Those guys are ridiculous. There's no way to hold up to them. Like because. They were just here not too long ago with Fit, and like I was like so hellbent. I was like, I'm not gonna move from the spot.
Right.
I found like the perfect spot on the side of the stage to watch every single one of them. Didn't miss a note. Their bass player was a nut. I think he was just a fill-in, but this guy is just throwing this freaking 6-string bass around like it's like, I don't know, just fucking just throwing it around. And these guys are just going crazy, and they were so tight. Ocean's 8 Alaska.
Chris Turner is a robot.
You can't touch that.
He's a robot.
There's nobody. Yeah, and have you ever seen like the videos of him breaking things down?
And when he's playing when he breaks down, like playing off the beat, I can't think what it's called. Give me a second.
Hansa or...
Yeah, he has all these breakdown videos where he explains like how to play behind the beat, in front of the beat, metric modulation.
Yeah,
he explains that.
And when he breaks it down, he makes it. You're like, wow, I'm so stupid. How did I not think of that? Like,
but then when you try to play it,
you're like, oh, that's why. Like, I can't translate.
Yeah.
But when they came through with Wage War, I sat side stage for that, and actually, so there's funny you said that. Chris Turner is a Sabian artist, and I'm endorsed with Sabian. You know, yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah,
how that happened. We'll ask that after.
Oh yeah. Well, so obviously Chris is not from the States. He's from over in Europe somewhere. And after the set, he got off, and I immediately was like, like, hey man, good set. And it wasn't gonna be one of those like, oh thanks dude, and he walks away. He stopped. He introduced himself, and like we got to talking, and one thing led to the next. And I was talking. I was like, yeah, Sabian, blah blah blah. I'm with them too. This is tight. So we just started geeking out over cymbals. Like, right. I've never really had that experience because cymbals just kind of are just cymbals. You can't tune them, you can't change them, tweak them, or whatever. It's like
they just are the way they are.
That's what they are, man. Like we're drums, it's like it's a little different. But we got to talking, this is where the connection comes through. He's like, yeah, actually, my representative, even though he's in the UK. My representative is out of Colorado. And I'm like, oh, man, that's fishy because my representative's out of Colorado. Turns out we got the same Sabian rep, Bob Rupp. And he's like, oh, my God, you know him? I'm like, dude, yeah, like that's the guy I go through to get my stuff. And he's like, oh, dude, small world. And so it was like a cool connection right there to talk to the guy that like I look up to as a drummer. Like he influences a lot of my playing styles. And we just happen to be on the same roster. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, I can't put that on a resume, but like,
right. Hey, I know this guy.
I know this guy. Like, cool, man. We're tight. We talked to each other for 5 minutes. It was sweet. But yeah. So the Sabian thing, what it came down to was I was basically to the point now where I was like, I'm confident enough in my playing where I think I can start looking at companies and start branding it or endorsing, like Charm City, like, they gave me an endorsement price. And first off, let me drop some knowledge on some people. Dude, oh my God, this has been rubbing me the wrong way for years. People, like, you can be endorsed, but you're still gonna pay for the equipment.
They just think you get it for free.
Yeah, everyone or the way they treat things is like, I understand you do have to, brand the company and you agree when you sign these papers, like, hey, if there's anything like Sabian or Charm City, if you're going to use that, you have to use that. And if there's anything where you think that, say Instagram, okay, you drop a picture on Instagram and you see Sabian, there's a symbol right there in the front of the picture. You better make sure that they're tagged or recognized in that picture because like that's what you agreed on.
Right.
Okay. A lot of these musicians, they drop this, I'm proud to endorse blah, blah, blah. When in reality, all they did was when they agreed on the price, they just threw the word endorsement on there. You're still paying full freaking price.
Right.
For whatever it is. Like I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people do that. For example, I'll make up this story. Like somebody pays $2,000 for this custom kit. Sick. Like, yeah, I got this endorsement. I'm with this company. Well, what you really did was you just signed your name on a piece of paper agreeing to promote them in every way, shape, and form when you could have spent that same amount of money on that kit without using the word endorsement.
Right.
You got fooled.
You bought
the endorsement.
You bought the word endorsement.
And so many people do that because they're so stoked because on the other end of the phone is like, yeah, man, we'll endorse you, dude. Like, you just gotta sign here, here, and here. We're so stoked to have you on board. It's like, that's not really going to do anything for you unless they're doing something for you. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I won't get into specifics, but like Charm City, they helped me out. I did not pay full price for that kit. I paid for the kit,
Right.
but not the whole thing. That is a level of endorsement. That's not getting handed free stuff with your name on it. Like that doesn't happen. Same with Sabian, Vickforth, Remo, you name it. So like you see these people running around going, hey, I'm endorsed by blah 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 company. It's like, no, you're not. You paid full price for that piece of equipment, and now you have to tell people that you're endorsed because you are now working for them for free.
Kind of the same sense. I guess if I was to draw a parallel to my life, in bowling, it's kind of the same way. So basically, you'll send in your resume. So how many 300s, how many 800s, state champs and stuff you won. You send it into them. They either accept or deny. And then you get discounted stuff, but it's the same thing. You have to wear their stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If they have brand new shoes out, you're wearing the brand new shoes. If you, let's say if they have a new bowling ball out, you're advertising the new stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works. And there was actually an instance a couple years ago where somebody was sponsored by a company. They went out of town and started throwing different equipment, and they got caught. See you later.
Yeah. You
signed on the dotted line that you're going to rep this company, and you went outside your contract agreement. See you later. We don't need you.
That's a lot more common than some people would think. Which yeah. But anyways, so getting on Sabian, what really it came down to was it was my dad. He has a friend here in Omaha that he would jam out with all the time, and nothing really came from it. It was just go to the a wine bar and just basically a big circle jam. Everyone brought their guitars and just rocked out. And my dad definitely likes to throw my name out there. Like, yeah, my son's a drummer. Like he makes sure everyone knows. Like that, proud dad moment, right? And he's like, oh, I know a guy that is looking, to bring on more drummers. Maybe I can humor him. And so this guy's name is also Bob. So there's just two Bobs in this now. And so my dad called me one night and he's like, hey, my friend said that he has a connection with Sabian Cymbals. And that's the company I've been trying to get on for at this point 2 years. I'm like, dude, I would love to have a direct line of contact to these guys, because I've been going through email after email and just a bunch of we'll get back to yous and nothing to avail. So eventually I got this call from a Colorado number. Didn't put two and two together. I was still in college. I was actually just going out to my truck for lunch, and this guy called me, and he's like, "Are you Alex Sloan?" I'm like, "Yeah." Who's this? He's like, "My name's Bob Rupp. I'm a representative for Sabian Cymbals here in the United States, and I understand that you're looking for an endorsement." And I'm like, now, I'm on the other side of the phone, like a 16-year-old girl who just got asked a problem. I'm just freaking out over here. I'm like, hell yeah, I made it. And he's like, all right, well, here's the rules, here's the regulations, this is what we can do. But he wanted a resume. Mm-hmm. He's like, I need to know what you do. I'm not just gonna start giving you guys product at a discounted rate.
So it's kind of the same thing with bowling, then.
Exactly. You have to prove that you're willing and you earn this product, because like Sabian, for example, they are not just some garage kit company. They're pretty notable, in my opinion. I think they're pretty notable. They got some drummers on there, man. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so he's like, all right, give me all your information, I'll email you all this paperwork, and I'll mail you the same stuff too. Sends me a packet this thick, I shit you not, and I fill it all out, band history, show history. So now I got to think okay, what shows did I play? Barn show. And I had to think of the dates, and then any tours, any weekend runs, any studio activity, what I did, and then I had to link any music that I was on, the whole shebang. This is applying for college or something. I don't know. And I sent it out, and for a while it was kind of disheartening because I didn't hear anything for almost a month. So now I'm just like, oh well. There goes my shot. Yeah, there it goes again. Whatever. I guess I'll go again. And I got the email back from him, and he's like, all right, we'll take you on. Here's what we have to offer for you guys. And we're like, hell yeah. And it all comes back to this the word endorsement or sponsors, you know. Fuck. I hate that word sponsors. I don't know why. But he's like, you have to represent this company with the passion that like you work for us. Like you can't go around playing another brand and still think that we're going to support that.
Right.
Like you are a Sabian artist. Okay, duh. Like obviously, you have to. There's like certain number of like social media. Like we were at the height of social media. Facebook was just there teetering on the downward slope, and then Instagram just got big. Twitter was kind of at its its better, like a little cleaner Twitter, I guess you could say. And he's like, yeah, when you promote, you have to make sure we're a part of that. And if you do any tour flyers, show flyers, since if your band's name is on that, so is Sabian's, or any other company for that matter.
Right. And
they had regulations. They're like, you can't just kind of like tuck the Sabian logo down at the bottom left corner of this giant poster.
Yeah.
They're like, you got to make sure it's notable. And this goes on with every company, Westone and Vic Firth, also two others that I deal through.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, if like tour flyers were the big ones, because they know that obviously a tour is going city to city, which means there's going to be people in every city that are going to be looking at what you're playing.
Right.
Which means if they see that tour flyer and they see Sabian, Vic Firth, Westone, Halo guitars, stuff like that, because like John's with Halo, like they're going to be like, okay, this is what they play. That means it's almost like a humble brag.
Yeah.
It's like we
obviously we're doing something
this
right.
This is what we're doing. This is who backs us. Like this is our support team right here, and vice versa. So, in a way, it is a humble brag, but it's also part of the game. So where like I see a lot of drummers, for instance, because I got a lot of them on Facebook.
Yeah.
and they throw out this like, I'm endorsed by this company, and like I said earlier, you're really not. You just bought the stick and signed your name on the wrong piece of paper.
Right.
Like they
you
don't do
bought it.
You could have bought it for less. And if anything happens, if you end up not liking the product, well, you can just go get your other thing.
So if I was to stop you for a second, if you were to give any advice to somebody who wants to get sponsored or wants to get backed by a company, what would you do?
Read the fine print. That's such a big thing. Or don't jump on board right away, because like for me, like it's kind of opposite, because I've been fishing for this one for a long time.
Right.
Like this is something I've been wanting to get, but a lot of people will go out there and just start throwing their resume out there, or lack of a better term, resume. Like, I'm a drummer for this band. This is what I do. I want to be part of your company. Well, just like a job, like what makes you think that
you've earned this?
You've earned that. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people that, I wouldn't say lie about it, but they definitely don't give them all the information of really what they are as a musician. And I sound like I'm bashing on people. Like I'm no better than anyone else, but like how do I say this? Just read the fine print, and like if it seems too good to be true, like if it seems like you're not getting anything out of it, you're probably not going to,
right.
And you never will from that agreement, from that deal. And if it's like that, then you just say, it's like buying a car. You just say, all right, man, the numbers aren't there, dude. Like, we'll just happily move on, and then nobody loses any sleep at night,
Yeah, I guess suggest don't feel forced to do it since the option's on the table.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, you technically work for whatever brand that is.
Sure.
And if you're not happy with the product or how it is being handled, then well, you're in it for that. Like if you sign a contract for a yearly contract, now you're stuck with them for a year, and then not like really anything crazy is going to happen, but they could boot you.
Yeah.
At the snap of a finger, man. They could tell you like, all right, that's it. Like
that's another question I want to bring up. When you are, I guess, signing your contract, or when you signed your contract, how long was it for?
Mine actually is a 2-year at a time deal.
Gotcha.
So, actually, so yeah, next year, 2020, I will have another piece of paper coming through. And like right now, like obviously I'm very happy being with Sabian, like, or Vic Firth Westone. Like I'm happy with that. So like I don't have a problem if the agreements are the same or better. I'm very, very happy to sign on that. But like I will still read through it. And like if numbers change to a point where it's like it's not to me worth it, I'll just say that, well, that's it. And then, you know, you're back to the DIY on your own kind of thing. But yeah, like that rule of thumb is obviously like any other contract, man. Read the fine print. Like always do your research and make sure that you're getting the best deal, because at the end of the day, they want the best deal for them too. Like that's business, man. But if you don't feel like it's the right thing, don't do it, because you'll regret it later.
Fair. And
yeah.
You've signed for 2 years.
And now you got it for 2 years, and then if you're on that contract and you're not being the professional one on the other end, now you just look at like a dick. You know, these guys are helping you out for X amount of years, and
you're screwing them over,
and you're not doing anything to better their business, and that means they're, you know, obviously they're just not going to scratch your back either. So,
all right, we're going to shift this for a second. So, as far as touring goes, who plans your tours for you? Maybe you can plug them if you do have
me.
You? Yeah?
It's me now.
Mostly through Facebook, because I see you saying...
I am constantly on Facebook looking. Well, so what had happened really now, the reason why I'm doing it is because we had a third party book these tours for us. And this is in no means bashing. Like this, it's like you learn the hard way, especially doing it DIY, is there's a lot of flaky people out there. Promoters, venues, bands, the whole shebang. We had a third party. We would tell them basically, these are the dates we want and this is where we want to go. Then they get the rest. They get a percentage of what we make on the road. You know, it essentially takes a whole aspect out so that it allows us to focus on just being the band,
right? Not
the business side. And what had happened was just like we weren't happy with the outcome, and there was just a lot of odd things that, like, you know, it was one of those, shit, I could do that, like maybe not right away, but like we can save ourselves a lot of headache and do it ourselves, and then you can't point blame at anyone. If anything were to happen, it comes right back to, like, well, for me, like if a show flops on one of our tours now, it comes back to me because I was the one that booked the show, or the promoter in the bands. I can't go, oh, well, so and so didn't do this. It's me. But yeah, a lot of it is sitting on Facebook. I have multiple DIY pages that I follow, and a lot of those pages have gotten me shows in cities I never thought we could ever get. But it's not what you know, it's who you know. We have like a little black book of different promoters that we have worked with in the past or have the chance to work with, and we go through those first.
I want to stop you for a second. Your little black book, it's like a little secret that you don't want to tell anybody else. Is it, or is it not?
Yeah. It's pretty secretive,
because it's almost like,
in a way, I will like if somebody's like, hey, you know, like, I know you played this city before, who'd you use? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, like, yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. But if I start handing out the names, because that little black book did not come from me.
Right.
I won't say who it came from. I won't tell you. I can't. My lips are sealed for life. But I'll just say that a very helpful friend said, I am sick of seeing you sitting on Facebook all day, you know, struggling.
Right.
Here's mine. And this is coming from a very, like, a veteran, essentially, in my eyes. He's a veteran, and he's helped us plenty with that kind of stuff. And we've tweaked that black book since. So, like, it's not even the same thing anymore as what the
It's
other
like,
guys.
It's like if you're to give it away, you get an expired phone number and you call and it's like this
Yeah,
phone number is not connected anymore, and you're like, well,
exactly. And we still get that. Like we still get like there's like I don't know. I'll make up a state. Let's say Missouri, and we look up
well, that's
promoter.
a real state.
Yeah. Well, we'll look up a promoter, and the promoting company is not even there anymore, and we're like, what the hell? And so we'll do some like super deep research, Google, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that agency doesn't exist anymore. Well, shit. Like, so that's where you go back and all right, well, that company's off. That guy's gone.
Time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot. It's who you know, not what you know. Some people will get us multiple shows. So one promoter books in 5 different cities.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shit. If it worked out, working with one guy for 5 days is like almost unheard of, but like not far fetched. I would love to just work with one promoter where he or she is in charge of everything. That way, you make a good connection. And that being said, the shows that pan out well or were handled with care and obviously like they cared about what they're doing, we'll go back, we'll use them again. And so a lot of it is repetition. A band should be playing on a good note, any good city every 3 to 6 months. Now, like, you're not going to be in New York City every 3 months. Got it. But like to maintain a name or relativity there, that's the goal. So if you can maintain a friendship with a promoter or bands for that matter, because we've made friends with bands.
Yeah, I was just
that we come back with. And yeah, they like some bands will say, "Yo, you need to come back to our city." Okay, I mean you're 12 hours away, so we'd have to like obviously book something in between.
Right.
But if you can make it happen, if they're coming to you, knocking on your door, I wouldn't say balls in your court, but it'll be a lot easier to work with. Like for me, talking to promoters, I'm almost annoying in this sense where it's like, hey, where are we at with the show? Do we have all the bands? Is the venue ready? Is the promoter set? Like, what do you want me to do? What would make life easier? Because like me and technology, we don't get together very well. So like promoters will be like, well, we do need a show flyer. Perfect. I'll hit up my guitar player, Andy, be like, Andy, we got a show flyer. Here's the names of the bands. Here's the venue. Here's this, and this. And I mean, he'll roll his eyes, but I'm like, we got a show, so,
right.
Get to work.
It's part of the job.
Yeah, like, get used to it, man. But, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, if they wanted me to, like, fix a cabinet when I get there, I could do that. But that's about it. But
so as far as networking goes, so you guys do a lot of weekend runs, being that I'm sure a lot of you guys have weekday jobs.
Yeah.
It's got to be kind of hard to schedule, but I know a lot of, I guess, local bands. I don't really follow bands from Wyoming.
Right.
Or Montana.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anybody in the Northwest. I don't care about. No.
Who needs that?
So, as far as jumping on weekend runs, is it easier to do with one band, or do you catch a tour that's like rolling through and just follow them?
Depends.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's easier just to do it yourself.
Gotcha.
Especially at our level, we're not a sellout band or a venue sellout band. We play kitchens, we play small venues. We're
advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. But majority of the time, it's easier to, no matter what you're doing, book a run, whether it's 3 shows or 30, by yourself. Because now you got, say for instance, you got A band and B band. A and B band want to go on this run for 30 days. Well, A band can only do the first 25. B band can only do the last 25. Well, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's just hard to do because now you got to get twice as many people there. You got to pay twice as many people now, or bands for that sake. Like most bands don't really just pay their members individually. It's there's a bank account or a money box in the van that they use to get gas. But so now you gotta essentially double the number of people through the door. You got to double the promises, essentially, the guarantees. because these guys, you know, we're all out here doing the same thing. We want to play a good show, and if you got 2 bands that aren't recognized in a city, well,
you might get 20 people.
You might get 20 people, and 10 of them are in that tour package, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's detrimental. It's easier to promote one band from out of town with a bunch of solid locals than it is 2 bands with 2 solid locals.
Sure.
Just and we've been in that situation. We've done the tours where we have 2 bands, awesome dudes, fun to hang with, but detrimental to the business aspect of it, because now, like I said, you got to essentially double everything, and that's already hard to get, you know, one band solidified and getting everything that they want. Now, like, we're not asking for the 5-star hotel kind of thing. We just really, at the end of the day, we just want to make sure we have enough money to put into the gas tank, and maybe a couple cheeseburgers at Arby's or McDonald's on the way, like, nothing more than that. And when you gotta essentially you gotta promote double, it's not worth it. So a lot of promoters and venues will say, no, sorry, we can't. We'll take 1, but not 2.
Sure.
Or more.
So when you are negotiating, do you negotiate with the venue or the promoter putting on the show in the area?
Mostly the promoter. Sometimes if you have a connection, like for us, like we have the connections here in Omaha for both promoters and venues. Local band, we know the people that run these venues. Let's say Montana. I don't know. I like that state. That's a cool looking state. I don't know where that came from, but it's a matter of, you know, that little black book or somebody that knows somebody.
Right.
You get a hold of them, whether that's through Facebook and email or whatever, and obviously give yourself some time to make this show happen. Don't message them with a month to say, hey, we want to be there next month. Like, can you make that happen? They're not going to make that happen. They'll laugh at you. 6 months, man. Like, 6 months is like prime book time. Take notes, friends, because I learned the hard way. Like the 3 and 4 months, like, no, because then, you know, shows are going to drop on these tours, and that gives you a little bit more time to
build them up,
build back the shows that fall. But yeah, like, as for like negotiating, really it's almost there's kind of like a bar that's set. Any decent promoter will know, like, okay, a band is usually going to ask for this dollar amount and this and this. Like, as long as they can eat at night and drive to the next city, if we can get them that's fine. Now, like, if some local band's coming in saying we need $3,000 and you know, like the Hilton, like, no, like, that's funny to me. Like, no, you can't. No way. Like, expect to sleep in the Walmart parking lots, but like,
I think, if I was to stop you there, I think there's only a handful of bands that would be able to get that. Ready? Bring Me to the Horizon.
Boom.
That's one. Obviously, Architects.
Yeah, they get that.
I mean, you talk any band from like England or Australia, they're just...
Yeah, exactly. But like, they're also playing, you know, full-size venues where like the tip jar at the merch table could pay for their gas.
Right.
Like that's, I mean, okay, that might be a little bit made up, but like, we're a no-name band. We all have day jobs. We're not touring the world at the rate that everyone would love to do. Like, obviously, like, I would just love to drop everything and just be on the road 365, but that's not realistic, right? So it's a matter of just stern but fair. Like, you just say, this is what we require, dollar amount, and then they'll say, do you know, some promoters will go way out of their way and just make sure you're like super well taken care of. They'll make sure there's catering. We have like a rider, which basically it's almost like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Saying
what
like,
you want there.
Yeah. Like, even if like, it's like, is there Wi-Fi? Yes or no? If there is, what's the password? Just so when we get there, we don't have to go look for the guy and be like, what's the Wi-Fi password? Like, we'll just have it. Like, now, like, people usually don't end up writing in on everything, but like, this is just a rider that's been formed through seeing other bands and what they're getting. So like, will it be catering? If so, what is it? You know, there's this many people.
What's on your rider?
That it's do you agree to this dollar amount? And then the other paper is like, name of the address. Is there a green room? where to park. Like, I mean, every question that a band could possibly ask
is on
there. Where do we set up merch? When's load in? When are doors? When's our set time? Who's our sound guy? Who's doing the money deal at the end of the time? When do we have to be out of the venue? Like, every possible question you can think of is probably on this piece of paper, and it's probably saved a lot of headaches and arguments,
for sure,
to be honest, because it's like, you know, a lot of people just show up to the venue and go in there blind, in a sense. Us, it's like, okay, we know what to expect. We know where the show is. We know what bands are playing. We know what we're making. And then even then, it's like, Andy went as far as, it's not on our rider, but when we get into our little spreadsheet deal, he'll look up where the nearest Walmarts are on the way out. It's like, okay, because like we know we're just gonna end up living in one that night,
right? And
like, you know, like how far is the trip to the next city? You know, like that way we have everything planned. Because I'm one of those guys. I'm a planner. I'd rather be obviously 30 minutes early than 5 minutes late. That's
obviously today.
Obviously, dude. Like, I would have sat in my truck for another half hour without a problem. I would have been
just fine. Just to let you guys know. So I got here. We were supposed to start this podcast. Like I said, be here at 12:30. Shows up at like 11:35. So it's just like me. I'm always early to everything, and I'm like, this is ideal. But I don't like being late to my own podcast,
dude. Yeah, like. I just grew up always being, you know, an hour early instead of 5 minutes late kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's my mentality. Like, I'll sit in my truck for an hour before work if I have to.
See, the way it got built into me is golf, because golf you have tee times.
Yeah.
So it's always like be there an hour and a half early, or if I'm playing early in the morning, let's say I play at 7:30, I'm up at 5:30. And that's not even my alarm.
No, that's just like, you're just like, that's your mentality. Like, touring, the band hates me for this, because like, say we have a 4-hour drive to the next city. Okay, that's doable in the time of the day.
Right.
To still get there before load in. These guys, they'll sleep all freaking day if you could give them. No. Like, sleeping in a van's not the most comfortable thing. So like, I'll be up at like 6:37 just kind of like doing one of these numbers. I'll start the van and they're all just like yelling at me like, "Shut that thing off, we're sleeping." I'm like, "You can sleep on the road." Like, I'll drive the first couple hours. Then we'll go to a gas station, then you guys can get out. Like, I would rather be in a city 5 hours early than rolling up to the venue at load-in time. Like, I'm just so crazy about that kind of stuff, because some cities, you know, parking's not the greatest, or I want to get the sweet spot when it comes to loading merch in, and
the spot right inside the door.
Dude, like, yeah. Or meeting the people at the venue, and you know, if you have time to make friends, they'll help you out.
Yeah.
Like, St. Louis, we played there back in like March, and the sound guy, okay, he was the opposite though. He actually showed up late. He like rolled out of bed. He's like, "I forgot I had a show." Yeah, but he looked like a taller version of Hobo Johnson.
Okay.
I was like, okay, this guy's gonna be a clown. Well, he was actually super super cool to us. He was really nice, and then we're like, we have a day off, or we have time to kill. We don't have to go right to bed or anything. And he's like, "Oh, well, let's go to this pizza shop." And okay, we'll hang out with the sound guy. And like, long story short, that was our connection. Now we got a guy in St. Louis that can throw us a bone whenever.
Yeah.
Because we got there early enough to make a friend, and he helped us out in the long run. But yeah, so like, really what it comes down to is just knowing your band's worth, realistically speaking, and just be ready to take a couple losses. If you break even at the end of a tour, man, you're
doing good.
Dude, you're doing great. You're a metalcore millionaire.
My God, it's like going to nationals for bowling. Some of the entry fees, like for nationals in Vegas, $185 to bowl 9 games, right? So you're pretty much paying 20, somewhere around like 25 a game.
Jesus.
And how many? I've only broke even. Let's see, I've done it 6 times. I think it broke even 2 or 3. But I just bowled a tournament for the first time in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's been hyped. My Uncle Tim's bowled it 20 years. And I didn't know anything about it besides the lanes are going to hook, right? I go in there, and I just got the results back today. I'm not the father. No, I'm just kidding.
Good. Thank God.
Not the father. No, so I
Jerry.
I finished 62nd, which guarantees $1,000, and then I finished 4th for new bowlers because they have a new side pot for people who've bowled there for the first time, and I finished 4th. So I think I'm gonna make like $1,500 back. So I would take that tournament.
Metalcore millionaire.
I'll take that tournament over and over again.
The bowling alley billionaire, dude.
Yeah. You know what
On
they
the
say
come
about
up.
arena football owners? It turns billionaires into millionaires.
Hell yeah.
They lose money in arena football, which is sad because arena football it's great.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Well, I guess same for hockey, I suppose.
Hockey's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, look at your arm. You got a freaking...
What arm? I don't know what you're talking about.
How did you even start to like hockey? Is it your dad?
Dude, no, actually, like my mom, bless my parents, they are not athletic at all. They've never. My dad claims that he was an amazing wrestler in college, but if no, no,
Can't believe it.
no, don't see it. But the hockey thing started actually when I was like 3 or 4. So whatever I was doing when I was 3 or 4 years old. This family that I grew up with, that was a hockey family. Like they had older kids than me. They have younger kids than me, but they had a son that's my age named Clay. And now my parents are like, okay, he's getting to that time where it's time to start finding a sport.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I played every sport under the sun: hockey, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, you name it, dude. I played it. I even dabbled in like karate when I was like really little. I think I was in there for like 1 day. I did gymnastics though.
You didn't do Quidditch?
No, they didn't offer that where I was. I know.
No Quidditch.
It looked fun though.
Can you believe they put chess and stuff on ESPN now? They put
Yeah,
chess.
they put like poker and stuff on it. I'm like that's a
Listen,
push.
Cornhole. That's the greatest thing ever.
I watched that.
Yeah,
dude.
same.
I love that game because like my stepdad, okay, that guy should be on the freaking
he's like
on that show because he just places them, man. And okay, he's also 6'4" and he's got the arms of a freaking tree trunk, like just like all the way out
elbows.
there. Like he can just drop it from where he's standing.
Yeah.
But like like
There's one night at bowling where me and this guy were like, they were going through the guide and I seen cornhole and I go, stop it. So everybody was like, oh, I can't believe we have cornhole on TV. But you see 6 lanes just like.
they're all like decked out in like
Yeah,
bowling shirts
jerseys.
and stuff. They got like jerseys and like button ups with sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can get sponsored for that.
So we started betting on it. So we'd bet like $5 a game
Oh my
on
god.
it. So I ended up winning like $10 because I won 2 and lost 1. But I'm like,
You're just a gambling man.
I do need to start gambling.
Dude,
on-
I don't know about that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't
Actually,
do it.
the first time I ever gambled was in Reno for nationals, of course, for bowling.
Yeah.
I put in $10. I won $6.75 cash out. A win's a win.
Win is a win, dude. You came out on top.
$6.75 is a win, and at a place there called Calaneva, you can get a steak and egg breakfast for $5. So I just got breakfast paid for,
And you're still on top.
and I still got $1.75 to spend.
That's a Mountain Dew at the airport. No.
What airport are you going to?
He's like a sample of Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
like,
can I get a shot of Mountain Dew? Just give me a shot of Baja Blast.
please. A shot of grenadine.
Shot of yeah.
That's what I would do. But no, the hockey thing growing up, it was like this family, the Andersons, they were like, Alex needs to play hockey. Like he's just like Clay. Like we were always together and growing up, early years of our life, and mom and dad are like, I don't know about that. Like that sounds pretty dangerous. Well, it turns out I really knew how to skate. Like just natural at skating, and they're like, shit. Like okay. Now they just see money signs. They're just like, this is gonna be rough. And nope, grew up playing it, loved it, had tons of fun. It was very, like, to me, it was like a stress relieving sport. Like it, like yeah, there's a bunch of angry dudes out there on the ice. I mean, their job is to literally beat the shit out of you. Like, not a big kid over here, so like, but whatever. But that being said, it was like a lifestyle. You know, just like bowling, like you have like you're constantly focused on what's going on in that arena, and it was the same way for me. Like it was eat, breathe, and sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and That and I played soccer up through high school too, but it never. I mean, like I was good at it, but like hockey was just always like the peak sport for me, and I just dude, like just grew up playing it, and actually, so the Andersons, so Clay, the one that's my age, he actually went on. He played at Harvard, very good player. Then, I mean, he wasn't up to the ranks where he could be playing in the NHL. But he played the USHL, which is like the level of the Lancers, so juniors. And then he actually, I think he played in Paris for 2 seasons.
Oh.
So, like, I mean, he was playing as a professional player overseas in hopes of, coming back here to, to the big guys. But I don't know. I don't think he's playing competitively anymore. I think he's kind of reached that.
But it's just like, what an experience going over to France to be able to go play hockey.
Oh, my God. Like, I would kill to be in that position just because, like, that's like something like even if you don't make anything off of it financially.
I was just about to say, when does money become the most important factor? I mean, you get to go live in Paris.
Yeah, exactly.
Experience a different country, different culture, and all that stuff, and play hockey at the same time.
Dude, look at these NHL players though. Like a lot of like the new guys that are coming out. Like usually when you get picked up in the NHL, like your first season or first couple seasons, you're playing down in the minors. You're playing in the AHL, the ECHL, and you're still making $700,000 to $900,000 as a lower level pro.
Right.
The moment you get up into the NHL, dude, now your contract's
millions.
In the millions, and you're like, okay, imagine being 19 years old, just living on your own, playing hockey, and just like $3 million every year. Rough.
God, that's what drives me nuts.
Rough.
That's what drives me nuts right now about the NFL. And people holding out. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm already making $14 million, but I should be making $16 million.
So they'll change teams just for the sake of money.
You remember, well, I guess we weren't alive back in that time, but like the 70s and 80s when, like, the thing was to stick with your team. Great example, Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Only been with the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm sure there's been times where, he doesn't like being on a 2-14 team, but he's got team loyalty.
Yeah. Now it's just like, it's money chasing, it's paper chasing.
Yeah.
And I get it to an extent. Like I'm not in their shoes, but at the same time, like you think like I'm making $5 million a year, like I'm good. Like you don't have to worry about anything. But this team over here that's sucking up right now, they'll give me another $500,000 a year. Shit, all right, I don't care. A trophy's a trophy, but so is money. It's like,
I don't think I mean, I'm probably not the one in the right spot to say this, but it's almost like these people don't have passion for the sport; they have passion for the money now.
Exactly.
And that's why you see like all these athletes just getting traded, and well, I guess in the NBA you see somebody like LeBron or Kevin Durant. They're just like, let's go win a championship, but at the same time try to make as much money as we can and bounce. But I mean, when you make baseball players, if we keep going up. Those guys play. I understand they play 182 games before the postseason, and then they play the preseason. But it's like your pitchers are making $85 million a year, or I mean, let's just say 4 years, $85 million, and you're playing once every 5 days.
Let me put it like this: that $85 million can pay for a whole NHL team's yearly salary cap.
Isn't that nuts?
Think about that. That's one guy's salary. Paying for 23 guys' salaries in a different sport. And like NHL, they play 82 games a year before the postseason.
Irks me.
Dude, so now you're just like, really? Do you really need all that money? But
yeah, it kills me. And then I guess if we're to end it, the UFC, so the way they used to make money is they'd have the sponsors on the shorts, right?
Yeah.
And they'd get paid, like, if you won, you'd get paid a certain amount. I guess airtime, you'd get a certain amount. If you got a KO, you get a certain amount, right?
Right.
Now, well, I guess it was back in 2015 or 2016, Dana signed with Reebok.
Yeah.
So everybody had to wear the Reebok shorts. And the way I understand it is based off of how long you're in the UFC for. So if a person is just starting in the UFC, you get a contract. If you win, let's just say $2,500 to win.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, $2,500 to show, $2,500 to win. And then you build your way up.
Yeah.
There's been UFC fighters who have jumped promotion because they go from making $150,000 a fight, plus their UFC contract to now I'm back down to $2,500 because I got forced into this deal with Reebok.
Right.
And then you have to negotiate a contract to try and make up for it. And it's not fair. It sucks to watch.
I hate money.
Yeah.
I hate money. But I love it at the same time. Just because it I don't know, because that's what
Let's
we
just
need to
live off
survive.
trade.
Let's just, yeah.
I'll trade you this drumstick for that one.
Dude, I don't know about that.
I'll trade this PDP for your...
The one that feels like air?
This one.
Like,
Snap it like a pencil.
I don't want to. I don't think I could. I'm not that strong.
Oh.
No, I don't want to. Isn't this Deanna's?
Yeah.
No, I can't do that. That's mean.
Yeah, no,
this
it's
one's a conversation piece.
It is.
It's a conversation
We're going to have to
piece.
hang that up back here or
It's
something.
like the really lightweight stick. It's
What?
like this will float.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think we should probably end it here because I can smell pizza.
oh.
So, first podcast. We're done.
In the books.
That's like an hour and a half, by the way.
I like it.
We're done. Let's get out of here.
Let's do
Eat some
it.
pizza.
Pizza.
Hey! Lost the love, trying to